Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2022 Sony Open First Look, Research, Early Picks, the modeling, and so much more as we dig into the research provided by FantasyNational.com. FantasyNational.com/Mayo. Get you 20% off, by the way. You can see all the tools and stats as I do my walkthrough to see if it's something you might want to get into. Weekly, monthly, annual memberships, all available. The annual, obviously, the best discount you can get with that 20% off. But really, what I'm here to do is to tell you to smash the like button to the episode, sub to Mayo Media Network. If you're ever looking for the golf bets or cheat sheets, subscribe to the newsletter, the Mayo Media newsletter on Substack. Find that all down in the description. The big thing for today is join the one and done Fantasy Golf Championships.com or fangolfchamps.com. If that's just too many letters for you to type in, you can also find it down in the description. We need to fill about 1,000 more spots in the race for the Mayo Cup. It begins this week at the Sony Open. $125 to play for an entry for the year. You can play up to 5 entries, and all it is you make one pick per week. You can only use that guy once for the year. That's all it is. Total money wins it all. $50,000 to first place. $500,000 guaranteed in the prize pool. So let's go fill that right now. The Listener League link for DraftKings will be put down in the description once it's available to me. It is not available yet, so it is not there as of yet. Let's jump over to FantasyNational.com and jump right into this. You can see the Century Tournament of Champions is still ongoing at the moment. If you're ever looking for live stats throughout the course of the tournament on Fantasy National, you just go to In-Tournament Stats. Boom. It just pops up for you right there. Cameron Smith is still winning because he hasn't even teed off in the third round as I'm recording this. I thought that this could be a week where, maybe my guys could rally, but just like every other first tournament of the golf year, that's how you know that golf is back. It was a losing week for me because Colin Morikawa missed a putt on number 8 in the third round by maybe 25 feet, and that kind of quelled his comeback mission because he really needed to shoot like a 61 on Saturday to get back into it. Hey, you know what? I'm not from the future. Maybe by the time I'm done recording this, he will have shot a 61, and I will be happy. Or Spieth, or Damon, or someone else. Or Cameron Smith just gags it away. Who knows? Anyway, we're not here to talk about the Century. More on the strokes gained stats from this tournament on Monday's show with Jeff Feinberg. We want to get to the Sony Open. Here we are. So the Sony Open is a 132-man field played at Waialae Country Club in Hawaii. It's a par 70, just over 7,000 yards on Bermuda grass. Obviously, Kevin Na won a year ago, and we'll take a look at the past course conditions, the course breakdown, and the tournament history from last year. You should know right away that the biggest corollary course to Waialae Country Club, or at least the tournament itself, is the Mayakoba, which Victor Hovland won back during the swing season. We've seen 2 of the past 4 winners, Matt Kuchar and Patton Kizzire, win both back-to-back. They won one in the fall, won the other one come the, winter time. I guess in January is what we'll call it, because that is actually what month it is. Once again, the one and done starts this week at the Sony Open, so get your picks in now. You can even set up text alerts in case people are afraid that they're going to miss it. And I've done an entire one and done strategy show that's up on Mayo Media Network right now. It's like 10 minutes long. Some basic tips to help you try to tread water through it. It's almost like a diet, like I explained. You can put down steadfast rules for yourself and what you need to do. I line myself up every year. Here's what I need to do. Here's the optimal strategy. And then like 3 weeks into it, I'm like taking the craziest people ever, and that's why I end up losing every single time. It's like any sort of diet. You can do it for a week. It's when you get into week 4 of the diet. Are you still doing it? Chances are you're probably not. Also, pick winners. I hear that really helps in the one and done. So yeah, $125. It's like $375 per week or something like that. And it gives you a huge upside with $50K as the first prize and that engagement every single week. But Waialae with Mayakoba is a part of sort of, I don't want to say they're not all the same course, but it's all Bermuda grass. They're not all coastal, but they're all a bit shorter. Some are Pete Dye as well. So you have the Sony Open, you have the Heritage, you have the Honda Classic, you have Colonial, that's on bent grass. That's the only one that is on bent grass. And then you have the Wyndham Championship. You see a lot of the same players do really well because driving distance doesn't mean as much at these courses. It gives the shorter hitters more time and better ways to compete. So if you can have hot irons and you can have a hot putter, you can most definitely compete. Sony's a little bit different because driving distance can play a key factor here, but as we'll take a look at right now as we go to, let's see, there's the live leaderboard. Let's close that out. The historic conditions at the course. It was pretty calm. We saw 2 years ago when Cameron Smith won, he won at -11, and that was the highest. I mean, it's like, put it this way. Last year, Kevin Na won at 21 under. The year before that, 22 under for Matt Kuchar, 17 under for Kazire. Justin Thomas won at 27 under after opening with a 59 the year before that. Then you have 11 under for Cameron Smith, which was the highest winning score since Vijay Singh also fired a -11 to win in 2005. And you can see because the first 2 rounds, it was brutal out there. There was wind all week. It was incredibly windy the first 2 rounds, and that kind of persisted the entire time. And you can see it. I mean, Ryan Palmer tried to hit a 3-wood out of a bunker on 18. Did not go well for old Ryan Palmer. The par 5s of this course, there's only 2 of them. They're incredibly easy. Hitting fairways, it had been easy. That was during the really windy years, which is kind of strange, but generally very difficult to hit. Some of the most difficult fairways to hit on the PGA Tour, but it doesn't really make a difference is the thing. You hit the fairway, don't hit the fairway, you can still go for anyone in the field can go for these par 5s and 2. That's not really that big of an issue for anyone. And on top of that, you also have the fact that these are really easy green regulations to hit. So, well, the field hits around, 54%? Yeah, 53% driving accuracy versus 62% for your average PGA Tour event. The greens and regulation is actually higher at this event at around 66%. I mean, it's marginally higher. It's 66 per average, 66 here. So you can tell that unless you get yourself into a world of trouble off the tee, it's not going to be that big of an issue because you can still hit a ton of greens and regulation. We take a look at the strokes gained for the top 10 finishers. We'll sort that by top 5 finishers. And almost a stroke per round with the approach, over a stroke per round on the greens, Bermuda grass greens. Once again, about half a stroke off the tee and a third of a stroke. Or a little bit less, 3/10 of a stroke around the green. Around the green is marginalized a lot at Birdie Fest like this once you start looking at the top 5 finishers, only because you need to be hitting like 80% greens in regulation and making a ton of putts, and you need to be dialed in with your irons. The more we go down and we just look at everyone who makes the cut from those things, you can see it normalizes a little bit more, just the numbers aren't quite as high. But around the green is a bigger percentage of what's going on because guys are, when you're not averaging a stroke per round on your approach and you're below a half stroke, you're going to have to scramble a little bit more. I mean, that's pretty evident. Kind of go over this every single week. Additionally, at this course, 6 of the past 7 winners, Cameron Smith being that exception, although he did play in that December President's Cup and ended up winning that year. And the conditions were a little bit wonky. 6 of the past 7 winners played at the Tournament of Champions. So you might want to keep that in mind. I don't know. I mean, Cameron Smith may have bucked that trend and showed you, is he an elite? I guess if he wins this week, it's a bunch of wins for Cameron Smith. After winning Sony, won the team event, then he wins this. So we'll see if he holds on or not. There's been a lot of 36-hole leaders who have not gone on to win on the PGA Tour, but he's a higher-end player, especially for the Sony Open. So maybe a higher-end player or someone who plays in the Tournament of Champions can end up winning. If you're playing in DraftKings Showdown for the week, as you can see on the scorecard in front of me, and I do want to say, someone mentioned this to me, that they always listen to this show in the audio version and didn't realize that there's a video walkthrough where it's not just me rambling the entire, it is me rambling the entire time. But at least in the video version, you can see what I'm looking at when I'm rambling. So I'm looking at the scorecard right now. You can find that up on Mayo Media Network. If you're playing DraftKings Showdown, the guys on Split Tees, both nines end with a par 5, the two easiest holes on the course. You can see that number 9 has a 6.5% eagle rate, a 3.2% eagle rate for number 18. So you want your guys generating eagles on those, but holes 1 and 2 are the third and fourth most difficult on the course. So if you're looking for birdie streaks in DraftKings Showdown and you do want to split it up, taking the guys teeing off on number 1 is the better way to go, because then you have that wraparound of going 18. Yeah, you get number 9 and number 10, and number 9 is the easiest hole. Number 10 is the second easiest hole. So if you're starting on number 10, you don't have that opportunity to pair those two holes together where you have a birdie rate of 60% on one and 30% on the next. Now, the ones surrounding it, number 8 and number 11, a 15% birdie rate and a 10% birdie rate, that's fine. But then you see like a 9%, a 15%, along with the 49% that you would have on number 18. And the lead-in is only 14% for that as well. So with number 9 and number 10 going back-to-back for DraftKings Showdown, if you can take guys starting on hole number 1, you have it's not a significant advantage by any means, but it is, the extra 2%. You're giving yourself a little bit of an edge, and sometimes when it comes to DraftKings Showdown, that's what you can do. I would put it this way. I wouldn't fade a good golfer for a bad golfer just because of the T splits, but if it's a tiebreaker situation, yeah, by all means, let's go for it. Let's take a look back at last year's event, and Kevin Na, obviously the winner, beat up Brandon Steele and Chris Kirk. I mean, man, I had Neiman last year, so that kind of bit me in the ass. That was not fun. So Kevin Na ends up winning, like I said, -21. Neiman and Kirk both finish at number -20. Steele, who was very much in the mix going down the stretch, kind of gagged it away late. Steele, Webb Simpson, Leishman, all at -19. Horschel, Berger, Morikawa, and Patton Kizzire tied for 7th at -18. And these have just a lot of the regular run-of-the-mill names. Russell Henley has won this before. Matt Jones won at Honda a year ago. Nick Taylor won at Pebble Beach, another short course last year. Carlos Ortiz coming off, he just finished second at Mayakoba during the swing season. He was top 15. He's probably going to be my pick, by the way. Bermuda Keith Mitchell, you can see he actually had quite a nice run here. Mac Hughes, Hideki Matsuyama, who tends to play this tournament a lot. There's a lot of Japanese crossover with this course. When we get to the field, you'll see that. If you didn't notice, by the way, on Fantasy National, if you go into player profiles right now and you go to distance and accuracy, you can actually see the shot shapes of the players and how often that they shape their shots and their smash factor and their average ball speed. If that's just something you want to dig into, I think it's kind of analysis by paralysis. But green stuff is like that too. Maybe it can give you a little bit of an edge if that's something that you want to go look at. So I mentioned Mayakoba. So let's go take a look at Mayakoba from this year, and we can see what actually happened there. There's no strokes gained from that event ever, but we can just see that Vic ended up winning by 4. Ortiz came in second. Justin Thomas, who's won the Sony Open. Scheffler, Neiman, who was obviously second when we look back at last year. Wolf, Answer, Andrew Landry. So then these are some of the names that start popping up for us when we start thinking about this. So you have Landry, Danny Lee, Seamus Power, who actually just is, he had a great opening round at TOC, but he's at TOC. So maybe Power is someone to look at going into the Sony Open. The Gooch is another one who performed pretty well. Obviously, he won at the RSM, but he's going to be at the Tournament of Champions, or he is at the Tournament of Champions as well. Bezadenhout 15th. He's in the field this week. Who are some other guys that we might have? Oh, the Gim Reaper. Love you, Gim Reaper. Going back and looking at it as well in terms of like first-time winners, Russell Henley was the last first-time PGA Tour winner at the Sony Open. That was in 2013, so it's usually someone who's won on tour before. Now, when 6 of the past 7 winners have played at the Tournament of Champions, that should seem obvious, but in case it needed to be said, I am saying it right now. Who else is up here? Horschel, T33. You always feel like these should be better courses for Horschel. That whole circuit of like the short Bermuda par 70 type ones. And obviously he's played well at some of them. Eastlake, obviously, he's played well at. He's more of a top finisher, not a winner at these events. He might end up being overvalued in the field this week. Damon's made some nice runs at the Wyndham, a nice run at the Heritage. So maybe he's someone else to look up next week, depending on what his odds are as well. So let's dig into the field a little bit to see who's here. Bryson is playing. Morikawa is not. So that's going to save me some bucks, I think. So we just sort by strokes gained past 50 rounds. The top 5 in the field are going to be Power, Answer, Im, Cameron Smith, and Bryson. We also have Webb making his debut. Gooch, who played last week. Everyone's favorite, Mav McNeely, big sleeper. He's 8th in strokes gained total coming into this. You also have the season debut of Corey Connors, Harris English, Russell Henley, Kevin Na, and Kokeracker both playing. Mark Hubbard appears to be in the field. Christian Bezadenhout, Mark Leishman, Hideki Matsuyama is playing. Grace is a holdover from this week at the Tournament of Champions, as is Joel Damon. We get some Pendrith, Adam Long. Adam Long might be interesting. I have no idea how he's played at this event, but I remember, where did he spike? Yeah, he played well in Houston. He actually had a pretty decent swing season. So 4 consecutive top 25s to end his year. How has he played Sony? Never played well at Sony ever. Great news. Don't worry about Adam Long then. I was hoping that would be something that just popped up right away, but that apparently is not the case. So there are a couple guys. KH Lee is someone who is playing currently in the Tournament of Champions. Does not appear to be playing well, but that was the case with Kuchar 2 years ago. Kevin Na last year, they didn't play well at all at Tournament of Champions, and then they get to a course that is a little bit better for them, and then all of a sudden they're a lot better. So miscut, T19 for KH Lee. Gained 0 strokes on approach last year. All right, congratulations, KH Lee. Good for you. More players in this field. Furyk is playing. Ryan Moore in his quest to get back into the top 100 in the world. Snedeker's won this event before. Let's keep scrolling down. Billy Ho, obviously playing in the Tournament of Champions. EVR playing in the Tournament of Champions right now. My guy, Sadashi Kadaira, is playing. Kirk, as I mentioned, finished 2nd a year ago. Super sleeper from last year for 6 straight weeks. Vince Whaley is back in the field. Scott Piercy, if it gets windy, we always like Scott Piercy in the wind. See, woo! Kim has a win at the Wyndham, has a win at the Players' Championship, both shorter Bermuda grass courses. How has he played at the Sony over the years? Not that I'm not going to bet Siwoo. I'm going to bet Siwoo. 4th, 25th, 58th, and miscut. Actually played his best ball strike, not overall ball striking, but gained off the tee, gained on approach, gained around the greens a year ago. The year that he came 4th in 2016, lost on approach, 6.4 strokes gained around the green. That's probably not something that's ever going to replicate itself. Lucas Herbert won in Bermuda a year ago. We saw Higo get off to the really hot start. So it looks like there's going to be some guys in this field that are probably a bit underpriced unless they really spike on the weekend at Kapalua. That seems like a perfect Higo course. He won at Palmetto last year. He won at the Canary Islands last year. He's someone who can get very hot with his putting. Oh my God, Haotong is in this field? I think Haotong's ranked 500th in the world now, something crazy like that. Luke Donald, Jimmy Walker won here. I think it was back-to-back years, ages ago, back when he was awesome. It's funny to see Kevin Kisner, 117th over the past 50 rounds in terms of strokes gained total. I would qualify this as a Kevin Kisner course, though. There's only so many, even per his example, that he can win throughout the course of the year, and this is one of them. Let's see. Since 2016, he's finished inside of the top 5 3 out of 6 times, has not missed a cut in each of the past 7 years, although in 2015, it was a T84. Then he reels off a 5th, 4th, 25th, 69th, 4th, and 32nd. 2 great strokes gained approach years coming out of that as well. So Kisner, I don't think you'll ever get a discount on Kisner at courses like this, and especially if he ends up having a pretty good week. Oh, Jared Wolf, not my main man Matthew Wolf, but Jared Wolf with an E. The Francais, the feminine version of the name Wolf as we go through it. So that's just a quick scan of the field. Let's talk modeling and see how everything has gone over the years with my model. Here, I try to keep track of them. You can always save your models. Sony Open, solid. All right, let's roll with it. What did I have in here? Strokes gained approach, 25%. Par 4 scoring, 15%. 400 to 450 yard par 4 is 5%. Eagles gained 5%. Opportunities gained 15%. Strokes gained par 3, because there was 4 of them this week. 10% off the tee, 5 par 5s. I have in it 10%. Good drives gained 10%, because obviously missing the fairway here doesn't really make that much of a difference. So good drives gained finds its way into the model this week. And I have strokes gained putting listed. I have it weighted at 0%. Maybe I should jack that up a little bit. Let's dial down approach by 5%, because we have opportunities gained to mitigate that, and throw in putting at 5% and see what that spits us out. Past 50 rounds. Obviously, this does not include the data from the Tournament of Champions. That will be factored in on Monday morning when I rerun the model. Again, Jeff and I will go over all of that on Monday's show. So who are the best players in the field from the past 50 rounds going back into last year? We have the Mexican Allen Iverson, the answer, Abraham, number 1, Connors, Sungjae, Webb Simpson, the Gucci Man. Those are your top 5. Mav McNeely, Hideki Matsuyama, Keegan Bradley, Russell Henley, and Bryson DeChambeau. Those who were tied for 9th. Seamus Power at number 11, and Cameron Smith at number 12. Oh, look, there's Joel Damon at 15, Harris English. Harris English, this should be a good course for you. Someone who's won Mayakoba in his career. Let's see, he's won the Tournament of Champions. He's won Mayakoba. How's he done at the Sony? His best finish is a 30. Is a 3rd, 4th, and 9th. How has he done lately, though? 32nd, 22nd, 64th, missed a cut. He's made his other 5 cuts. So he's a pretty consistent cut maker at this course. Did not have a very hot start at the Tournament of Champions, but that's okay. You know, you're shaking off some rust. It's not that big of a deal. The fact that you're getting 4 competitive rounds under your belt to start things off, always a good sign. Seamus Power has never played well at this tournament, but I think you need to lend some context to that. The Seamus Power has never been as good as he has been, that he is right now. Over the past 8 months has been the best stretch of golf in his career. So maybe the arrow is pointing back up for him coming into this tournament. I mentioned Russell Henley has won this event in the past, and that was in 2013, his first career PGA win. Never really had that much more success. Does not have another top 10 at this course over the years since his victory. Missed 3 cuts in that time. 11th last year is really good. But I think that he's someone that a lot of people will point to because the stats are obviously going to love him. When you look at opportunities gained, he's number 1 in strokes gained approach over the past 50 rounds, that the model will tell you that he's going to be really good. Maybe he will be really good, but it feels like that might lead you to overvalued. I don't know who said this. I saw it on Twitter. It was a really good point that if you're looking to project ownership, just run one of these models, because the majority of people doing the influencing are all kind of looking at the same things. That some of these stats aren't necessarily predicted. They can tell you who's playing well right now, but that's why I still feel like gut feel, trying to dig in and find a little bit of a separate edge is so huge, because let's say if Russell Henley comes in at $7,800, he's probably going to be like 86 or something like that on DraftKings, or he'll probably be like 28 to 1 or 30 to 1 in the betting market. Like, everyone's going to know he's a pretty good bet, and maybe the bet is the play that you want to make him, but on DraftKings, he's just going to end up being incredibly popular. So the stats are more of a predictive nature of DraftKings ownership than they are of who's actually going to play well. It's the game theory behind everything. And when Rick and I break that down on Tuesday, yes, my guy, Rick Run Good, Rick Gaiman, is going to be on the show this week talking about this tournament. We'll try to find the pivot points off all of that. Let's take a look at the past 24 rounds to get a bigger sample from just the swing season. Obviously, it's not going to be just the swing season for some of the players, but we'll see if there's anyone that increases their value moving up than they did over the past 50 rounds. We'll cut the sample in half and see what's up. Gooch Im Hollywood Hoagie all of a sudden pops up. Corey Connors, Abraham Answer. Damon goes up higher. Leishman all of a sudden makes an appearance. And hey, there's KH Lee. Like I said, KH Lee, could end up being a player here since he has played the Tournament of Champions, performed pretty well at Mayakoba. Obviously, it's not a TPC course, so that's usually where he really excels. Tom Hoagie, what did he do? He came good at the RSM. He made... Hell, he missed the cut at the Sanderson Farms, and after that, I guess Shriners, CJ Cup, and Zozo don't have cuts, but he made the other 4 cuts, 4 of 4 in between, and just absolutely dominated on his strokes gained approach. I feel like he made a run here one year. Yeah, it was in 2018 he came in 3rd. So he trades like elite performances with bad performances at this course. And I mean, based on his tournament history, he's due for a good one. Miscut, 3rd, miscut, 12th, miscut. Now we're in 2022, and he's only going to get better. So by a factor of 4, so by this, what should he come in? Like 0.75 place? I mean, that's good enough for a win for me for Hollywood Hoagie. So I'm sure, again, he will pop up. I'm curious to see what his betting number is when the odds are first released. We'll take a look at Shez Reavy as well, because he's popped up on both these lists. Troy Merritt has popped up on both, and Captain Ramius, Chad Ramey, is up there. How we doing, Shez? All right, Shez still can't putt worth a lick. However, after missing the cuts and pretty middling performances all around, he made 3 straight cuts to end the year. Very poor off the tee, but the approaches continue to click. How has he been putting at this course in his career? Oh, dear God. -6 last year? No, it's been 4 or 5 years since he actually gained strokes putting at this course, but he lost less than won in 2019 and came in third. So he has the right skill set for this course in the right conditions. And we'll see what the conditions are throughout the week. Troy Merritt, 3 straight top 30s to end last season. Very bad history at this course. 56 last year, followed by 5 consecutive missed cuts before that. It's probably fade him. Chad Ramey, I don't think that he played the Sony ever. No, he played the Sanderson Farms twice, though. Let's see here. He was 17th in Bermuda, 14th at Shriners. Had a very poor end of the year, but continues to gain with his approaches. So let's try to factor down on just strokes gained approach. Luke Donald, strokes, what that? Really? Luke Donald is number 1 in strokes gained approach? Where is this coming from? With a bunch of missed cuts, too. I guess he played in 2 tournaments that don't have strokes gained data, so we're just going back. Wyndham missed the cut and gained 2.5. 6.4 at the 3M. Byron Nelson, 8.1. Byron Nelson might actually be a bit of a crossover here. This because playing at that weird like shootout course where KH Lee won. That wasn't the first year ever. Craig's Farm or something like that. Craig's Ranch. And Palmetto being a newer course as well. We saw some of the guys that might pop up here, pop up there. Just curious to see if there's any like double over on those leaderboards. They were a little bit apart, but obviously Luke Donald doesn't get invited to anything anymore. Higo, Redmond, Swafford, Hatton, Hadley, BVP. Oh, that was a big week for me. I remember I had BVP and Higo. That's the week that I came second in the Minimax. That was fun. EVR, okay, EVR was in 10th. EVR played last week. We can start getting behind that a little bit. Shechrivi, keeps popping up in all of these models. Harris English was inside the top 15. Danny Lee and Scott Piercy, 2 guys that I mentioned had played well at OHL Mayakoba this year. Seamus Power inside the top 22. Byron Nelson, you got Burnsy and Berger, who are up there. Kazire, who's obviously won at the Sony Open, and Mayakoba. You have KH Lee as the winner. Bramlett. All right, that was the beginning of a bit of a Bramlett run. Seamus Power. Maybe Seamus Power is the play. Huh. Not what I would have thought coming into this. Leishman, 21st. Libiota, 17th. Kadira actually finished top 20 in both these as well. Kadira had a little mini run through an early part of last year. He's been bad ever since, though. Yeah, that was his run. 11th, 13th, 19th, 36th, and then it was over for my guy, Satoshi Kadira. But he can kind of pick it up at any time. It's weird, but he went through this really hot putting streak. And sometimes that's something to glom onto. If you know guys are good putter, they're just in. That's one thing that like the model is never going to tell you that because no one prioritizes putting all that much. But we saw with Libiota as well. If we go take a look at Libiota, where's Hammer and Hank here? He had a stretch of putting last year where it's like if you just kept playing Libiota, he kept making putts. So he went plus 7.5 at Valspar, made the cup at minus 7.5 or 5.2 the next week. 2.8, 3.8, 5.8, 6.1, 5.1. Then it was over. He got it back a little bit in Houston, but that was really it. And he's been on a very bad run since. Although you can see that the irons are coming back marginally. And the best weeks that he had were weeks where he was driving the ball well and, playing his irons pretty well. And the putter came along for the ride. So that's interesting to see from that regard. Stanley's always going to be up there. Norlander. Bramlett continues to play pretty well. Let's see how he finished the season. He finished the Corn Ferry year, obviously great, winning their tour championship. Great. 5 straight missed cuts. Poor Cecil Peters. Cecil, what are we doing here? We playing Bramlett or what? I guess you have to sub to Sideshow Cecil and see what's going on with him from that regard. Oh, Dewey Vanderwall is popping up here too. Let's see, Dewey. No. Dewey, I know your tricks. It's not good. Not good at all. So that's a brief overview. The other thing that I wanted to hit on, instead of just going straight modeling on this, let's do a mixed condition. We won't do the mixed condition model. The mixed condition models, you can throw in a bunch of different stuff. For example, if you wanted to say, hey, who plays well at par 70s? So we'll just click on par 70s, and it'll get rid of par 71, 72, and 73s. Last 24 rounds, that seems like good enough. But if you wanted to do the mixed condition model, you just use this yellow filter right here. So if you said, hey, who are the best players tee to green, or even just ball striking? So we'll add, no, we'll go tee to green. We'll just say tee to green. Make it easier on everyone. You say, I want to add a column to my mixed condition model. I want to take strokes gained, tee to green, and we'll call that past 24 on par 70s. And then boom, go add. And then it gets added into your mixed condition model, and then you can do other stuff too. Like you can say, I want par 70s. We'll click off par 70, and we'll just go on Bermuda grass. And we can throw that into the mix as well. And we can call that Pass 24 Bermuda. And we select putting from that and add it in. So we can even go a little bit farther down into it as well, because this is less than 7,200 yards. So we'll throw out par 70, and we'll just call this strokes gained total. Pass 24 under 7,200 yards. So you saw how I did the model earlier when I picked the specific stats that I wanted. And you can do this for any stat that you want that's on here. So these are just like 3 basic ones that are just, strokes gained total, putting, and tee to green. So we'll weight the Bermuda grass 15%. And we'll make strokes gained tee to green 60%. And we'll call that 50. We'll call that 50%. So I don't know. Why is it doing that to me now? 50%. There we go. So 50% for tee to green on par 70s over the past 24 rounds. Strokes gained putting on all Bermuda courses with Bermuda grass greens past 24 rounds. And then strokes gained total past 24 rounds under 7,200 yards. This is just a different way that you can look at the course for the week, and then we can load in our results and see what happens. And maybe this can give us a little bit of a different type of view. So the best players in this are, no shocker, guys that tend to perform well at all those courses that I talked about. Webb Simpson, Abraham Ancer, Russell Henley, Bryson, Harris English. Those are your top 5. Now you have Brendan Steele. Which tracks? He was inside the top 10 a year ago. He's had success at the Honda Classic over time, so I think that's starting to jibe a little bit. Cam Smith, Chris Kirk, Corey Connors. I want to see Corey Connors for a second. I think like Kramer Hickok. He didn't appear anywhere else. Let's go take a look at Kramer Hickok. See what's up. He's up to. Zach Johnson. Denny McCarthy. Well, if we know putting is involved, he's 6th, and he's in strokes gained total. I mean, putting is included in that. On courses under 7,200 yards, he's actually a lot better. He's 2nd in the field in that. If you just take a look at that one, it's Simpson, Denny McCarthy, Kim, Russell Henley, Abraham Ancer. Cam Davis, who is actually playing Tournament of Champions, is 5th in that number. Cam Davis ranks out. He's bad tee to green at these par 70 courses. He's really bad putting on Bermuda. But strokes gained total under 7,200 yards. He's actually really good. Interesting to see. Ryan Palmer, former winner of the Sony Open. Matt Jones checks a box up there as well. You see Kramer Hickok is still down there. Hickok plays these shorter courses really well. Doesn't necessarily always bring the putter. Interesting. I would not have guessed Kramer Hickok. See, 4th at the Houston Open, 2nd at the Travelers. He doesn't normally perform well, but in the weeks where he does perform well and actually putts, he actually does some damage. So, yeah, and another shorter course, Travelers shorter course. I don't know. Houston was a longer course, so good for him. He was in the lead going into the final round of that tournament, and obviously he ended up gagging, but that's just how it's going to be sometimes. 19th at Sony a year ago. Let's see how he's done at the Sony Open. 19th, 45th. At least he's made the cut the past 2 years. Has never gained strokes putting. Has gained around the greens. Marginally gained on approach a year ago. So that's somewhat positive signs. Oh, man, Zach Johnson's played this every year since 2004. Actually, he didn't play in 2006 or 2007. But still, gains on approach every single year. So that's always good news. Played really well at the RSM, too. He finally got his groove back. He's like Stella! Coming back and helping us out a little bit at the RSM Classic. I don't know if that can persist, but let's see him at shorter course. He missed the cut at Mayakoba, so that's not good. Missed the cut at Wyndham, but did gain on approach. John Deere, okay. Travelers, another short course, pretty good. Honda, top 10, that's pretty good. Okay, we're getting somewhere now, I think, and trying to find some sleepers. Corey Connors, I feel like this is one of his best putting tournaments. He always putts better on Bermuda, as you can see. I mean, better being that he's not an abject failure, losing almost a stroke per round like he is on POA. But I think in his career, yeah, he's gained every year at the Sony Open. Maybe this is Corey Connors' time. He's like John Cena. His time is now. And it's weird to see him. He came 12th last year, gaining 5.1 strokes putting. Probably an aberration. It's going to be hard to replicate, although he's averaging like 4.5 in his career at the Sony. But losing on approach, that's just not in the Corey Connors game plan. I mean, sometimes he does. He was awful at Shriners. But as you can see, like over his past 20 events, he's gaining an average of 2.4 strokes on approach. Like ball striking is Corey Connors' thing, and he's like the worst putter on the PGA Tour. It's weird this tournament weirdly throws him at a whack. So that's interesting. Weird, wild stuff, to quote Dana Carvey doing Johnny Carson. So let's reset our filters one more time and think about corollary courses and everything that I've said so far. So we have, we'll throw Eastlake onto there. Harbortown, no, not Houston, Harbortown onto there for the Heritage. We also want to take a look, you know what, hell, let's look at Pebble Beach. That's another short course. Different, obviously, that's going to be different in terms of strokes game putting, but we're just going to get the 2 rounds that people play from that course. Try to, really up our sample a lot here. Sedgefield CC from the Wyndham Championship. Probably want to add Colonial onto there as well. Where the hell is Colonial? What do I have Bermuda clicked on. That's why. I'll off-click Bermuda right now. So I can get Colonial back in the mix. Where's Colonial? There we are. Colonial. And then I'll want Wiley, which I assume is down at the bottom. Wiley CC. And let's chuck in TPC Sawgrass. Yeah, it's a short Bermuda course. Why not, right? That's had a lot of crossover with the Wyndham Championship over the years. So we'll throw those ones in. So it's a smattering of courses. We're looking at past 24 rounds just to see if this tells us anything else. And maybe it won't, maybe it will. Maybe we can find a sleeper or 2 from in here. Strokes gained total over the past 24 rounds from those courses. Webb Simpson, Siwoo Kim, Bryson, Henley. Now Brian Harmon makes an appearance. Connors, Cam Davis. So when we ran that model, the second model, Cam Davis appeared here. Now he's appearing here again. Keegan continues to show up. Chucky 3 Sticks, Charles Howell III. Griot, we'll leave him for Raza. Brendan Todd continues to pop up. Lucas Glover now makes a cameo, currently in the field at the Tournament of Champions. Brian Stewart, Stumanji, is up there as well. So that's good to see. Let's see strokes gained approach from these tournaments. Griot, Keegan, Hideki, Na, Connors, Webb, Leishman, Kokrak, Siwoo. A lot of Siwoo up there. Okay. So that's just different ways that you can use the tools to try to identify some of the players that you might want to take this week. And I think I've given myself a nice head start. Apparently Seamus Power can't be beat at this tournament according to, the stats that I'm choosing to cherry pick with this week. What you choose to cherry pick with might be something else. But maybe you heard something in there or saw something that I didn't. Maybe you found a sleeper or 2 that you can roll with this week. Obviously, we're going to break this down more throughout the course of the week. Monday with Jeff Feinberg up on Mayo Media and the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. Rick Gaiman on Tuesday. Plus, Fantasy Golf Degenerates will be out Monday evening with Kenny and Tambo, so go download and watch that one as well. And play in the one and done, the race for the Mayo Cup, $50,000 to first place, fantasygolfchampionships.com. It starts this week at the Sony Open, so go get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. You can have up to 5 entries. You might as well go do it. $125 for the season, $375 per week. It's not that much. So let's go do this. Let's fill this up. We need to fill those 1,000 spots right now. Don't wait. Help us out over here. I don't want to have egg on my face by telling them, we can bump this up to 500K guaranteed. It wouldn't be a good look for your boy Pat Mayo if that happens, all right? So help me out over here. Smash a like, sub to the Mayo Media Network on YouTube, and join fantasynational.com. Fantasynational.com/Mayo will get you 20% off. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!